City Council earlier this week approved multiple land use bylaws. These bylaws are the groundwork for future development in downtown Lloydminster. Discussion centered on adding a childcare facility as well as adding more homes in the area. A public hearing was held on Monday regarding the bylaws, with multiple submissions in support of the proposed changes.
Supporting it. And the area that's being proposed is what I would consider the downtown and surrounding area of the residential in the downtown. And certainly there's some large lots there. And we've had inquiries about potentially having garden suites, parent suites. You could define them as many things. And it required a change to the land use bylaw.
As stated through the municipal development plan, the homes can be defined as secondary suites, garden suites, and garage suites.
It will have to meet many different conditions. Aesthetics are one of them, as well as all the other pieces to it. But I think things are changing from what we've seen in the past slightly, and this is not something that's going to change across the entire city. It is in a specific area, and like I say, you can drive by some places, and they have some very beautiful lots downtown, and I know people would like to redevelop them, but to make maximum use of that lot and, again, meet the needs of the community, I think this is a great opportunity.
Council granted the third and final reading to all land use bylaws presented on Monday. For the 11th year, the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce is putting on the Economic Partnership Summit at the end of September, an opportunity to develop Indigenous partnerships in the prairies.
And I'm joined today here on Primetime Local News by Beau Gadwa, and we're here to talk about the Economic Partnership Summit that's taking place in September here in Lloydminster. This has been going on for a number of years now, but for people maybe who haven't heard about it or don't know about it, can you kind of take us through what this event is?
Yes, the Economic Partnership Summit, it's to connect Indigenous and non-Indigenous companies together to either perform sales, deals, even build partnerships to try help out the workforce.
And really foster those connections, eh?
Yes, we do, yeah.
So kind of talk to me a little bit, it's the 11th year, you've been a part of it for 3 years. How has it kind of grown, or how have things changed in the past 3 years with the summit?
Well, in the past 3 years, when I first started, it was around COVID.
So a difficult time.
So it was a difficult time. That one was all online. We did attend that one online as well, and you didn't have that personal face-to-face connection that we finally have now again.
So it's easier to network, obviously, when you're face-to-face.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So talk me through a little bit about what's going to be taking place at this year's summit. It's going to be in September, but what can people expect, or organizations that attend?
Okay, well, in the morning we'll be starting out with a grand entry just to showcase the Indigenous, the First Nations people surrounding the area. So we'll have dancers there, we'll have singers, we'll start out with that, and then from there we'll go on into our breakout sessions with the companies talking about what they do. You can also book interviews with and make partnerships with other companies that are surrounding the area. And
so for a lot of this is businesses that are going to be attending this summit.
Yes.
How can they kind of join and to take part in it?
All they have to do is just reach out to the Lloyd Chamber of Commerce, get registered, and then we'll see them there.
Awesome. And I know that there's a big, exciting keynote speaker coming this year, Ashley Collingbull. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe what she'll be talking about? Or who she is?
Yes, she's for those that don't know, she is the First Nation from Enoch Cree Nation. She's a host, a model, an actress. She's also been in multiple keynote speaking positions. Yeah. Like right now, she's actually in Sherwood Park, St. Albert, as Master of Ceremonies over there with the Youth Summit.
She does so much. I know she does different football game, like in-game hosting and stuff. So it's exciting to have her come out here to Lloydminster for this event.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about what you're hoping to get out of this year's event.
What we're hoping to get is to foster more connection with the companies out there. Like with the labor market right now, like of course unemployment's it's not at a high or a low, but we don't have those job seekers looking for employment because it's just not there right now. So we're looking to help either make those deals between companies or help them with their workforce.
And for people who want to find more information, I'm sure there's a whole bunch on the website that they can get for the Chamber, hey?
Yes, at Lloyd Chamber of Commerce, yes.
All right, but well, anything else that you have to say to get out in regards to this Economic Partnership Summit that's taking place?
No, I just hope to help make more connections for myself because as with our organization, we help with employment and training. So that's how we help Lloyd Chamber of Commerce as well.
Hopefully we can see it grow even more as we go into this event that's taking place in September, and then I'm sure once we get into the 12th Economic Partnership Summit that'll be taking place next year as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
All
for
right.
coming in to talk with us about this, Bo.
Thanks for asking me to come.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our Shelby Clark sat down with Abby St. John in this week's entertainment panel.
Thank you for everybody joining us today for this week's entertainment panel. Glad to be back.
Yes, we're back. After 2 weeks, we're back.
So
Although
back.
last week we were at May Cinemas.
So I guess you still got your fair share of us, of course.
Yes, of course. But we are officially back.
Yes,
off
we are officially back.
vacation.
Yeah, vacation is over, sadly. We're
Yep.
back to reality.
Yes.
And we are going to be doing this here in our beautiful studio for this week's entertainment panel. So we got some good stuff to talk about, some movies that have already come out. We
Yep.
will not be throwing it to us over in the local May Cinema 6, unfortunately, for this week.
Yep.
But we don't have much new movies that'll be coming out for this
Yes.
weekend. So we will be bringing that back for next entertainment
Yes,
panel.
for the first weekend of September, there's a few movies that are coming out. So give a little breather, get you ready for them, and then we'll be back at the theater to show you all the movies that are being released at May Cinema 6.
Exactly, exactly. But we got some movies that we want to talk about, some of the reviews. So, you know, we got two different complete, I guess, genres, I want to say. First one, Strays.
Yes.
So this one is more of a comedy movie.
Yeah.
Looks absolutely hilarious. Have yet to see it.
Yes.
But I guess the audience score is much higher than, I guess, the critic score for on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, you know, what you kind of expect with a comedy. But
Yes.
yeah, we got 56 on Rotten Tomatoes for critic and 73 audience.
Yes, and I mean, that's pretty predictable, especially when you have a raunchy comedy like this. And critics, I guess the critic consensus was it's more amusing than funny, which, okay, that's fine. But we care about the audience reviews more than we do about the critics' reviews because
Yeah.
they're making money off of this, and audiences, you know, they're going for a good time. And I think this movie is for audiences. It's not for families. It may be misleading because it's a talking dog movie and they're all so cute, but it is not for children. And even the audience consensus was Strays is funny enough to recommend as a raunchy good time. Just know it definitely isn't for kids or the easily offended. So people who are easily offended by jokes should not see this movie. You will not like it. If you're into raunchy comedies and you're in for a good time, then definitely check out this movie because it's Will Ferrell and Jamie Foxx together. And
Exactly,
they're
that's
talking
hilarious.
dogs. I think it's so funny that Jamie Foxx is a Boston Terrier as well. So, and they have more cast. Randall Park is also in it, and he's hilarious. If you've seen WandaVision and Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's in it. So I think if you're into that kind of comedy, check it out.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. It's probably gonna be a funny one, like you said. Like you got some great actors that are voicing these characters, and it sounds hilarious. I like that that person did add, you know, not for the easily offended.
Yes.
That's a great way to say, like, if you're sensitive to certain topics, don't watch this.
Yes, and it's already made $13 million worldwide, so it's brought in quite a bit of money so far.
Make sure to definitely give it a shot. But another movie that came out recently, and it actually has some good buzz, which is really good to hear, because you know you don't really expect it for some DC projects. But we have Blue Beetle, and this one actually had a pretty good critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 78%, and then for audience it was nice, 91.
Yes.
So that's really good to hear, especially you know with that representation in this movie, and also like I feel like Blue Beetle is not a very well-known superhero or whichever. So I feel like it's nice to know that it actually still got a good review and people were enjoying it.
Yes, for sure, and it's certified fresh with that 78% critic rating. But yeah, 91% of audiences liked it, and I think it was refreshing for DC to come out with an origin story for a superhero that wasn't Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yes.
You know, all like the very well known that everybody knows DC. It's nice and refreshing to have a character, an origin story of a superhero that a lot of people, unless you're hardcore DC comic fans, you're not going to know who Blue Beetle is. And you're not going to know what it's about. And I'm very happy that it was a success. Because, you know, it was very hit and miss, you know, especially because it's DC, but...
And we had, like, the Flash.
Exactly,
came
that
out
controversy and...
Yeah, and that's very controversial, so it's good to know that Blue Beetle,
Exactly.
Blue Beetle got that good review.
Exactly, and it's the first DC EU film, so it's the first to introduce the universe to DC, but it's also the first live-action superhero film starring a Latino lead, which is very exciting. You have that diversity, and you have this origin story of the superhero that not a lot of people know. It's about a Latino superhero, and it was so successful. It's made $52.1 million so far at the box office since it's been released, and I think that's awesome to see, and it's incredible that it was a success. Audience consensus was funny with lots of action and an appealing cast. Blue Beetle is an entertaining superhero origin story with fresh twists.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear. Like, it's always nice to have, like you said, an origin story that, you know, you're kind of like, we'll see how this one goes, because who knows what Blue Beetle is all about. But it actually shocks you, and you're like, I really like this one. And having that representation for it, it's perfect. It's like awesome. Like, it got some good reviews, and it worked out. So hopefully this is good news for DCU.
It's very promising.
Yes, let's hope it continues on. That's all we got to say. But make sure to check out those two films right now.
Yeah.
Seems like it's doing pretty good. You got some good comedy, and you got some good action with a little bit of comedy as well. Got some two good films. But that's all the time we have for this week's entertainment panel. We will be back next week with a little bit more movies that are playing at our local May Cinema 6. So thank you everybody for joining us again.
Now let's take a look ahead into the weekend in this week's edition of What's Happening.
The Vic's Crank It Up Cabaret featuring Brett Kissel is quickly approaching. It's coming up on Thursday, September the 7th. Don't miss out on your chance to be a part of this party. Get your tickets now. And the show's going to get underway with Jordan Pollard opening up the show. Then Brett Kissel's going to take the stage. And this cabaret, it is all ages. And Brett Kissel, he connects with all ages, with his songs, with his storytelling, and with his amazing performances. And this year, he's been nominated for Entertainer of the Year at the upcoming CCMA Awards, and he has won a whole bunch of awards throughout his career at the CCMAs and at the Juno Awards as well. Don't miss out on your chance to see Brett Kissel at the Vic's Crank It Up Cabaret. Get your tickets and all the details at victubatheater.ca. Coming up this weekend, it is the annual Wild Blueberry Festival in St. Walburg, and tomorrow they have so many activities planned for you and your family. Start your day tomorrow morning with a delicious pancake breakfast. They're going to start serving up at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Then the activities get underway at 9 o'clock, and it includes a large outdoor market where you can support some local vendors. There's going to be crafts, art, there's going to be garden items, and so much more. Plus, they've got lots of different games for the kids, a chance for them to win some prizes. There's going to be a dunk tank, blacksmith demonstrations, and the museum will be on hand with some homemade ice cream and homemade butter as well, plus a show and shine. So many different vehicles for you to take a look at. And that's just a part of the activities and the fun that you're going to find tomorrow in St. Walburg at their annual Blueberry Festival. And there's still an opportunity for you to immerse yourself in hands-on heritage here at Weaver Heritage Park in Lloydminster. It's going to be open once again tomorrow, and throughout the summer they've been having different demonstrations. So it's an opportunity to see a demonstration and also explore some of the heritage buildings. Admission is by donation. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, we hope you stay safe and stay healthy.
What's Happening is brought to you by Northern Factory Workwear, Circle Drive East, Saskatoon, and Highway 17 South, Lloydminster.
That's all we have for news. Sports is up next, but first here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Harvest is well underway in the province of Saskatchewan, although producers have been delayed by moisture. Our Thomas Wildman has more with this week's crop report.
Today I'm joined by Mackenzie Ledoux, one of the crop extension specialists for the government of Saskatchewan, and she is here today to give us the crop report. So thank you so much for being with me today, Mackenzie.
Thanks so much for having me.
So Mackenzie, let's start with harvest. It was starting last time I talked to you. So where is harvest at in the province of Saskatchewan, as well as I know we've had a little bit of moisture here in the northwest, so how has that slowed down harvest here in the northwest?
Producers really made some fantastic progress this week, and right now Saskatchewan is about 21% completed harvest. This is ahead of our 5-year average of 14% and also ahead of our 10-year average of 11%. Our producers, like you said, got a little bit of rain this past weekend, so their combines are stopped for right now. However, they're ready to get back into the field when moisture improves a little bit.
And so with how tough it has been in some areas of the province, particularly in the southwest, how have producers been feeling so far as harvest has begun here in Saskatchewan?
You know, our Saskatchewan producers are really fantastic and they're really resilient. And they're really showing the resilient spirit where it takes a lot more than just a little bit of rain showers to get them down. Their spirits are still pretty high overall in general. And in general, a lot of producers are pretty happy to be able to get their combines out and get them ready to go whenever they can.
And so, Mackenzie, we're quite a bit ahead of the usual average for harvesting here in Saskatchewan, though the Northwest is a tad bit behind the rest of the province. Is there any worries in terms of harvesting for those producers that are a little wetter, as soon enough as we come to a close here in the summer that frost might start coming out?
So I don't think that we necessarily need to be worried by this at this rate by any means. We are still in August, so we're still sitting pretty good, and our fall cereals are off. A lot of our pulses are starting to come off, and our producers are really starting to dip into their spring seeded pulses and spring seeded cereals as well. And also they're starting to cut into their oil seeds as well a little bit. So we are still making really good progress. As for inclement weather, of course, as we get later on to the season, frost becomes a little bit more of an issue. But I don't think that we're at that point yet. And frost, of course, it's up to Mother Nature, and the weather will be what the weather will be. But usually we're still pretty far away from frost right now. So we should be pretty good.
And so we've talked a little bit throughout the year about inclement weather as well as pests and diseases. Talk to me about some of those that we're seeing as harvest is now beginning.
So we did get some reports of some hail moving through some parts of the province. If that's the case, of course, hail is all variable on whether it takes out part of a crop or all of the crop. Producers are encouraged to reach out to Saskatchewan Crop Insurance or their crop insurance advisors to talk about their hail insurance options and to possibly put in a claim if the damage is bad enough. As for our other pests, this week we kind of had a little bit of wind, some localized flooding, again, our droughts. Our grasshoppers and gophers are still prevalent in Saskatchewan, and they're still taking out the crop a little bit. A lot of our producers are also noting some acid yellows in the crops, which is a viral disease that is most often identified in canola, but it can affect a lot of different crops as well. And that's simply some green vegetative growth in canola where there should actually be flowers. So it does affect yield just a little bit, but producers are just starting to notice that this week as they move into their canola fields and they go to scout them for moisture levels.
And then, Mackenzie, we've been talking a little bit about haying and green feeding for our livestock producers, and just talk to me about how that has turned out for the province of Saskatchewan, especially since there's been new programs coming out to help livestock producers in terms of feeding their animals. And so talk to me about those programs as well.
So our haying has wrapped up for the province, and our hay yields were published a couple weeks ago. A lot of our producers are also getting into their silage, and they're silaging right now as well. As you said, Saskatchewan did release a couple of programs or a couple of announcements related to feed and reserving and maintaining breeding stock within our livestock populations here in Saskatchewan. Those are going to be administered through the Saskatchewan Crop Insurance. So if our producers are wanting to talk about those at all, they're welcome to phone our Agriculture Knowledge line at 1-866-4537-2377, or else they can reach out to Saskatchewan Crop Insurance and they can get those nitty-gritty details for them to figure out if they're eligible and what they're eligible for exactly.
Thank you so much for all the information, Mackenzie, and we'll hopefully talk to you very soon.
Thank you so much, Thomas.
Now let's take a look at your agriculture prices.